is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Have you seen a guy look more uncomfortable at a press conference than Mike McCarthy right now?
No, he can't stop drinking his water. He's had the water at his lips for the last 8 minutes.
And I think that he's like, well, you're coming to the presser, yeah? He's like, do you have a suit? Oh, somewhere in the closet.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. Do you have a tie I could borrow? He also looks like he's got a bear claw just stuck right there in the lower part of his throat. Like he was taking down a blueberry and cream cheese bear claw.
It's like that moment when somebody calls you and you're in the middle of a gas station donut. And you're like,
yep.
Hello? Yeah.
It's like, Mike, is there any way you could just clear your mouth before we talk here?
Oh, man. Mike.
What is Pittsburgh doing?
And wasn't it Mike McCarthy that went on the basketball court?
Chided the officials. I don't think it was even his kid. It was like his stepkid.
Which, it's his kid.
I think you could actually hear me in the talkback. Like, come on,
I can't even believe Mike McCarthy's in the news on the day that the week I'm leaving sports radio, and we get to relive one of the greatest moments.
Yeah, I think the Steelers had that all in mind. Like, what can we do? What can we do to help these guys out?
What can we do to bag on Scotty G? Let's get the spotlight off Hanson.
And by the way,
put it on Scotty.
That tie looks like something a missionary would have gotten in 1998. Like that's old school there.
It really is. I kind of like it. It's silk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's silk.
That's 100% made in Bangladesh right there.
So Pittsburgh's thinking, yeah, this is our guy. Pittsburgh's thinking, yeah, this is. They've had two coaches in the last 20.
Three
years?
in like the franchise history because it went Chuck Noll to Cowher to Tomlin.
Yeah. So they just want to get into the coaching firing tree? Is that?
I guess so because this isn't going to last very long.
No, this isn't it, man.
And Mike McCarthy, I think they're throwing a Hail Mary to try to get Aaron Rodgers back because Aaron and Mike were together for so long at Green Bay. I think it's just like, well, what can we do? You see what the quarterback market looks like right now. Maybe we can get one more year out of Aaron if we hire this jabroni.
Geno Smith might be available.
Oh, my gosh. That's a bad idea. Holy cow, that went poorly. I just think that this is a flatline hire. Steelers fans cannot be happy about this.
No, they're irate.
No, they got to be.
They're incredibly upset.
Was Mike Tomlin, he was let go?
It was like a refirement.
Okay.
I think it was, he officially retired, but I think it was like, hey, Mike, you spending enough time with your kids. Do you feel like your life's fulfilled? Do you want to travel more in the fall? Maybe you should do that.
We'll make that a easy thing, transition for you. They'll be saying that to Mike here in about 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, Mike, we've noticed you haven't showed up to work much.
There's certain guys that get hired, and you immediately know that ain't going to end well. Yeah. Like, at this press conference, I can tell you right now, he will not be coaching this team in 2 years. Like, a year and a half from now, the end of not this season, but the next season, the Steelers will release a tweet that says, we have decided to part ways with Mike Tomlin, and we wish him well in the future.
Yep. I think
he and his stepkids.
You got to find a way to think outside of the box. And Pittsburgh has just been so comfortable with their head coaches. And their head coaches just always put out a good product. Now, whether that product makes it to the postseason or not, it always plays out one way or the other. But they've had a head coach that they've been able to trust, and they're about to get into the spin cycle.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can find something pretty quick. I'll have to check on Chris Hoke. Chris Hoke does all their...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Chris Hoke does all their sidelines and pre and post, and he works their games at home. And he has obviously a very attached interest into the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. So I'm curious how he'd feel about the Mike McCarthy hire.
All right, kicking off the show, Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a great day. We got a lot to talk about. It's a Tuesday, which means it's a Bill Armstrong day, so we'll talk a little Mammoth with him. Of course, we've been talking about nothing but wins with him, and now we get to actually talk about a loss.
Yeah,
But they ran into a pretty good team last night.
They did, but their run and their point collection was exceptional what they were able to do in that period of time. So we kind of knew that this trip to Florida and then the trip to Carolina, I kind of expect 0-3 over these, including the game they just lost, because it's a tough road trip. They're exhausted from the run. I think they will lose to Florida, lose to Carolina, and then I think that they'll come home, get started in this 6-game road stand. That 6-game homestand is where they're going to really make their money.
Yeah.
Because they play the 3 teams that are in their division in the West in the Delta Center. That's an opportunity to make double the points, keep the points out of Dallas's hands, out of Colorado's hands, and out of Minnesota's hands, and put those points in their own hands. I'm telling you, Scotty, like, this is a big, big 6-game homestand.
Yep.
And I will be at a couple of those games.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be at 2 of them.
What up, Sean?
Headed out to Colorado and Minnesota there at the Delta Center. So I'm excited to just take that all in.
And by the way, you're going to be like now you're like fan mode. You can just sit back and do whatever you want in the game.
I got to tell you, man, it's kind of nice.
I bet.
Because we got a couple minutes. I'll just tell you.
No.
So
hey, we got more than a couple of minutes.
So let me tell you, one of the tougher things of our job is we don't go to games to build relationships or shoot the breeze or have a conversation with Johnny and Jimmy to our right and left about what we saw. We go to games to collect the information of what our eyes are taking in. And it takes an intense focus to understand some of the really simple or basic but delicate nuances of every game. You know, and as I'm learning the NHL and I'm sitting 4 or 5 rows up and I'm laser focused on the glass, I want to be able to talk to our listeners. I want to be able to share handshakes and hugs and, holy cow, did you see that? And hey, what did you think of that?
Yeah.
But instead, my poor wife, who's typically with me, is watching me try to deflect and at times even try to avoid so that I can try to get the information I'm there to get.
Yeah.
So I am excited in this new job that I'm taking. I get an opportunity to bring listeners with me, and I get an opportunity to watch a game and sit there and bump elbows and say, hey, let's go grab a hot dog together and we'll come back. If we want to hang out through the second period, we'll do that. If we want to just come back for the third period, we'll do that.
If we want to get knee-deep in snow crab, we're going to do that.
Oh, yeah. If we want to fill our bellies with the best crab in the world, we'll do that. I got to tell you, Scotty, it's exciting because it's a completely different way for me to be able to enjoy and consume sports. I have loved being able to sit there and watch games and feel like this is my job.
Yeah.
But you know exactly where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah, I do.
I would go out to Utah practice or BYU practice, and our colleagues who are very dear friends of ours
Yes.
would want to strike up a conversation because they're not putting their eyes on what formations and what personnel groups and what directions and where I'm sitting there trying to say, oh my gosh, he just took snaps with the first string offensive line, but second string running back. So why is that quarterback taking snaps with the first string? Okay, well, I better start texting these coaches. So I would walk out of a practice and I'd say, hey, I just saw Travis Wilson or Tyler Huntley was just taking snaps with your starting offensive line. Why? And then it starts a conversation of, well, this and this. It's the same with BYU practice, same with any type of jazz opportunities. And you're sitting at practice and the people that we love dearly are coming up and saying, hey, this, that. And you're like, okay, I'm going to talk. And I end up talking and I know I'm missing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of exciting to be able to I'll be taking in sports from I literally, I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl. I have zero interest. I will not watch the remainder of the NBA season for the most part. I won't watch it. NBA completely lost my attention. Yeah, I think it's not the type of product I like. I like a systematic formula that is impossible to stop, not relying on a guy to hoist threes and hit them. Now you're just relying on a hot hand. And I really did love the game of basketball that I started into, where you're learning positioned basketball and responsibility of positioned basketball. And then we transition more into this positionless basketball. And then I feel like the NBA has just kind of lost its way. It just does not fit who and what I am. I feel like it's a broken product. So I'm done with the NBA. The NHL, I'll have a blast. I'm all NHL all the time. I love it. And so it's going to be fun to be able to pick and choose my passions. And as you know, Scotty, I dive into the jazz, and I work the jazz because our listeners.
It's still a jazz town.
It's a jazz town.
Yeah.
And I'm not dumb.
Yeah. And you're not, look, if you're not disparaging anybody that likes the jazz or like the NBA.
Absolutely not. Love it all you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, Scotty and whoever and whatever they move forward with this show is going to be very jazz-centric.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do in this market.
Yeah.
And I realized that about 4 months into this job with John Lund.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, called me yesterday. He got wind that I'm leaving sports radio and called me yesterday. And we had a great conversation. And he was actually talking about this. He said, do you remember, like, we were sitting there and you were running down basketball and said you'd never have anything to do with it. And then the next thing I know, you're meeting with Jerry Sloan and you're having conversations with he and Phil Johnson. And Jerry and Phil were so good to me, man, in the early years of this job. So good to help me understand the game. And then I kind of fell in love with it because of Jerry Sloan and because of Phil and because of the way some of it was being played at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some good basketball.
Different game.
About 3 years into my broadcasting career, along comes Darren Williams, and I watched them get a lucky break as I think the Golden State Warriors beat a 1 seed.
They beat Dallas, the 1 seed.
They beat Dallas, the 1 seed, and we got to follow along to the Western Conference. That's the last time I got to follow one Western Conference trip in 19 years of sports radio. I do think that Danny Ainge, and I've got full belief that Danny Ainge, and I'll say more specifically, Austin Ainge, I do think that they are going to strike when the iron is hot. They are waiting. And they are going to strike when the iron's hot. When they do, I think the Jazz become instant Western Conference contenders again. I think the Jazz could be a New England Patriots-like turnaround story. I full-heartedly believe that. I think Lauri Markkanen could be a piece. I think Keontae George could either be a piece of a big three or a piece of a big move to get to the big three.
Get the big three, yeah.
And as you know, I've had many conversations behind the scenes with Ryan Smith. I've had great conversations with Danny Ainge, and I've had a few with Austin. And I can tell people that they have the best interest of this organization in mind. They're not sitting there thinking, well, we're just going to collect paychecks and we're going to ride this thing out. This is not the Donald Sterling situation. They are not just sitting on a name and a logo thinking, wow, we're going to ride this out. I can promise you the conversations I've had are always motivated and always driven towards, you got to understand your assets. You got to understand what your assets mean. You got to understand what long-term contracts in this league do to you. You know, Scotty, better than anybody. Long-term contracts in the NBA will cripple you.
It's not about the size. It's not about the amount of money. It's about the amount of years.
Exactly. And one thing that everybody is now paying attention to is you've got the guy and you got the contract and he's a great basketball player, but he ain't a good dude.
Yep.
He's a bad dude that's going to force trades, that's going to go public, that's going to have his agent go public and say, I'm disgruntled, and completely throw the coaching staff into a whirl. And then coaches start getting fired. Like, how much do you really want what Giannis Antetokounmpo is doing here in Utah? Well, yeah, I want the Greek Freak. Absolutely. But do I want the Greek Freak holding an entire city and its basketball team hostage? I don't. I mean, look, if you can keep him happy, great. But when one man is gobbling up 48% of an entire cap, how happy can you keep him? And at what point do you go to him and say, look, dude, honestly, you're the problem. I can't, there's no other way to put this for you.
Yeah.
You're the problem because you keep threatening you're going to leave. Your agent keeps threatening that you're unhappy. Free agents that we might be able to sign, instead of thinking, oh, I'll go to Giannis, are thinking, I'll stay here and maybe we can get Giannis.
Yeah. Or I'll just wait and see where Giannis ends up and go with him there.
And go with him there. And my agent is his agent, and his agent's telling me that there's a good chance that Giannis ends up in Portland because Portland is making big push. But I've got the same agent, but I'm working with different access, and my different access, it's a mess. I hate what the NBA has become. It's frustrating to me what it's become. Somebody can hold an entire organization hostage. Okay, so speaking from a former professional athlete, like, I'm happy for them because if I'd had a guaranteed contract, that second contract I signed with the Colts would have paid me $1 million. And they were able to tear that up in front of my face and throw it on the ground and say, go home. So I understand guaranteed contracts and what it means, and I'm happy for NBA athletes that they have it. The problem is, over the last 5 years, Scotty, what do you think? 5 years where we've seen these, like the James Hardens of the world?
Yeah.
It's not right.
And when Harden signs a contract extension and then immediately asks for a trade. So he wants his cake and eats it too and
yep.
Gets both.
And so people have got to understand that there is a formula and there is a striking stance and there is a holding pattern. And I know Jazz fans are sick of the holding pattern. I'm sick of the holding pattern. You're sick of the holding pattern. I just talked about it. One Western Conference Finals trip in the 19 years that I've been on air. The holding pattern seems like it's been forever, even through Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. When things were really good, you still didn't get a chance at the Western Conference Finals. And I'm looking at the Jazz thinking, this is going to break. I mean, eventually it's going to break. I'm just not into the sit down of it. Honestly, my heart's not in the NBA anymore. It's just too hard. It's like every time you turn around, somebody's swinging a gun on an Instagram or a Twitter and they're getting suspended. Every time you turn around, there's a disgruntled superstar that's holding their organization hostage. Every time you turn around, your guy has made too much money and controls too much of the cap, and you can't build around him. And to me, it's like, geez, Scotty, the NBA's got problems.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Segment brought to you by Mountain Land Supply, where the pros go for plumbing, landscaping irrigation, agricultural irrigation, HVAC parts, tools, and safety equipment. Find a location near you at mountainland.com. BYU nearly pulled it off. A historic upset last night right there. A historic comeback. You just needed one shot to fall. Crazy, crazy game last night in the Marriott Center. We'll break it down next right here on The Zone.
After nearly 20 years of sports radio in Utah,
thank you,
Hans Olsen is stepping away from the mic.
Matt Wells joins us. Hey, Turkey, get your stinking thumb out of my Frito pie. You're a fun sucker. You suck the fun right out of everything. Larry Kraskowiak's on with us.
The one, the only, Hans Olsen. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. All right, let's give away some Jazz tickets right now. 801-575-ZONE. It is a Jazz Ticket Tuesday.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. Hey, hands, oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. You win a pair of tickets. See the Jazz and the Brooklyn Nets Friday, January 30th at Delta Center with a 7:30 start. Hans, there's a moment in a game where you're thinking, I might see something historic. And last night, BYU is being run out of the building, down by as many as 19 to Arizona. And I'm thinking, okay, well, shoot, this isn't going well for them. This is look, it's not a season ender by any stretch. It's not an NCAA backbreaker, but it was nice to play the number one team in the Marriott Center and have a chance to showcase what you've got going on in Provo. And Arizona, for about 38 minutes and 30 seconds of that game, did just that. They just came out and took BYU behind the woodshed. And then all of a sudden, Richie Saunders starts hitting threes. Guys get to the line, forcing turnovers, getting end ones. Keba Keita, offensive
foul.
rebound, like a turnover, a jump ball, alternating possession, flagrant one. And the Stars,
Hits two, ball back in your possession.
The Stars start aligning in your favor. And before you know it, 13 seconds left, down by one, you have the ball, and you just can't get the bucket. In fact, blocked from behind, Rob Wright, and that's how it ends. But what a game last night.
It was a good game, man. What do you think of BYU after watching it?
I think BYU has got some flaws. I think BYU has got some issues that they're going to have to deal with. I think that obviously your number one priority, if you are going against BYU, you find a way to double and get that ball out of AJ's hands. And you saw them defending him on that out-of-bounds play that goes to Rob Wright. I don't know if the play was designed for him all along, but you can tell there was a very keen interest in making sure AJ was not able to get his hands on that ball late in that game. And Rob Wright decided to take it. I think had a really good look, but just came out and look, the other guys are good, and a block shot. BYU's going to have to fix a few things offensively. Defensively, I think they went up against a juggernaut offensively. I think BYU's going to be fine defensively. I'm not too overly concerned about that. Offensively, can you get big buckets down the stretch to keep yourself in the game so you don't have to have a crazy comeback like that? Just a few fine things, but we're nitpicking right now. That's an elite team that was up against the number one team in the country. It wasn't David versus Goliath. Those were a couple of Goliaths going at it, and BYU just came up a point short. It was right there for the taking.
So the inbounds came at 12 seconds. 12-second mark. You inbound, you bring it up the court. And I didn't feel like Rob Wright had anything in mind other than trying to do it himself. There was one open rotation out to the perimeter. I watched it again. AJ DeBonsa is doubled. He's flat out doubled. You got a body on Keba Keita. So Keba, trying to dish down or alley-oop to Keba was not the option. Rob Wright really starts to penetrate with his dribble drive, and at no point did I feel like he had anything on his mind other than getting it done himself. And I'm going to tell you my problem with this. You played the number 3 team in the country in UConn, and he tried to do the same thing, and he bumbled away the ball.
That's right. Turnover to end that game. I forgot about that.
BYU had an opportunity. They had the comeback opportunity against UConn, and it was right there in their grasp. And Rob Wright tried to do it himself, and he bumbled away the ball. And I know you want dudes that want to take the shot. You want those guys, Scotty. You want guys that want that moment. And I think Rob Wright really wants the moment. The problem is, I don't think that was Rob Wright's moment. And I'm trying to remember which player it was. Was it Boscovich that was on the outside?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Hatch. Was it Boscovich that rotated out of the outside with that 12 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. So Boscovich.
You could have kicked out.
He rotates out to the outside. And it would have been a pretty decent windowed look if Rob Wright, at the point of leaving the court, would have dished out instead of got the shot blocked. Maybe and I know we can run these maybe games, and maybe it dishes out, and maybe down by one, you don't want the 3, maybe you don't want the deep shot, maybe Kevin Young told Rob Wright, one of 2 things is going to happen with this 12 seconds. You're either going to hit the shot or get the foul. That's it. We're going to take you into the lane, be aggressive in the lane. We've already gotten a couple of really good calls. These officials haven't been afraid to blow the whistle on Arizona. Let's get you to the lane, and it's either going to be a foul or it's going to be 2 points, and we go win this game. Here's what you can't account for. officials swallowing a whistle. When the whistles were coming, officials swallowing a whistle, because there's no doubt Rob Wright's hand was hit. When you watch that come from behind, and look, I'm not complaining. I'm not begging for whistles. I really don't give a crap. Like, whatever, because they got a couple of whistles that went their way. And this was the whistle that didn't go their way. But I felt like the behind-the-back deflection on Rob Wright got his hand. At least from the second knuckle to the tip of the fingers, along with the ball.
Yeah, you're just not going to get that call in that situation.
It's not going to get that call right there.
Yeah.
2 seconds left on the clock. It's winding down. You'd already had a lot go your favor. You had to make something bigger, more contact. And it just so happened that the trailer block was there for Arizona. Mm-hmm. The trailer block, a lot more difficult to call than a bodied up block by a big that's trying to meet Rob Wright at the rim. Much more difficult to get that call. And he did get a lot of ball, but he did get finger, and they didn't get the whistle. So to a certain degree, I'd imagine Kevin Young got what he wanted. If that's what he wanted. If it was, Rob Wright, this is the two options. You either make the basket or we get you to the line. Because I'm sure that's an option. Because he's a quick dude, and he can get pretty much anywhere on the court that he wants to get. It's hard when these things happen and you're like, you didn't get the whistle. You didn't dish out to the break. You didn't dish down. You went for it again. And the hard thing for me is I was sitting there with Greg Wrubell in a booth getting ready to call a football game as we're watching the end of that UConn game, and things heat up and BYU's in it, and Rob Wright's got the basketball, and he bumbles it. He loses it. And it was like, I don't know if that's his game to lose. I don't know if I think that's AJ's game, or I think it goes AJ's game, Richie Saunders' game, then Rob Wright.
Yeah. So who do you put that on, Rob Wright or Kevin Young?
Well, that's where I need to have the headset on. You have, and how often in our job, Scotty, do we need a headset on to know if Kevin Young said, Rob, this is the way we're going. It's either the shot or to the line. I want you to be aggressive into the lane and do what you do. Do what you do. Be first defender, get help defense, force people to stay wide, and then force defense to collapse and get to the rim, and let's either get the shot or get to the line. The thing is that Kevin Young knows what whistles are likely or unlikely in that moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know you're not getting a call there, especially with that crew.
Unless you get bodied up.
There has to be significant contact. I'm talking significant contact to get a call on that play.
See, coaches just have to take it into consideration.
Yeah, you have to.
What's the moment? 12 seconds left. We're inbounding from Arizona's baseline, didn't they?
Yeah, but they kicked it all the way back in the backcourt, and Wright had that running start to get into the lane.
That's right.
I look at it too from a standpoint of that is, if you're going to lose a game or if you're going to win a game, it's got to be in AJ's hands. Like he is, you mentioned he's your top option. He's option number 1, option number 2, option number 3. This is like the end of Hoosiers when they're like, hey, Jimmy, we're going to run a decoy to you. And he's like, no, give me the ball. I want the ball. I can make the shot. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah. You know what? Yes.
And that one's hard because I think he had Karen Chenkov and Pete on him. I think.
Well, I know, but there's a lot of screening that can go on to get him open. There's a lot of things that can be going on. Like I've seen, like Danny Sprinkle was the master of running. Essentially, he would steal football plays and run routes and pick plays to get guys open that he wanted to shoot free throws. Or get the ball in their hands late in a situation. Like if you couldn't get him the ball, then that's a little bit on the coaching than it is what Arizona was doing. Like I think there's ways to get him the ball.
Okay.
Especially coming out of that inbound.
So I will tell
especially coming out of a timeout too. If it's live, I totally understand that. Coming out of a timeout, you have to have something set up for AJ to get that ball.
Just to be a bit of a contrarian on this, I could see Kevin Young saying, let's take their 2 best defenders. Because AJ's gonna draw their 2 and let's fake into a screen. Let's hold those guys steady, give Rob Wright some room to either do this or that. I can see the conversation, but as I lay it all out, I agree with you. I'm still trying to get it into AJ's hands because I think, as a coach, I'm thinking, AJ's a big name. 12 seconds, I'm more likely to get a call on him.
Yes.
The defense is going to be more aggressive. It's going to be more tight. And And I think and he can reach above instead of being short and have backside swat. He can reach above the block. And I think I've got a better chance at drawing a whistle on AJ. I think. And I'm trying to draw a whistle on AJ before I'm trying to draw a whistle on Rob Wright.
I think you hit a really good point there. Everything else is equal. Okay? AJ gets the ball. AJ's the drive. AJ draws the foul. I think they blow the whistle there.
But that's the way basketball has evolved for me. I mean, I just see it. I see it. I'm not dumb. Luka Doncic, he deserves about half of the free throw attempts that he gets. He's big. I get it. And you have to beat him up to try to win. But I honestly feel like the league has favored certain individuals to the point of me being nauseous. Like there are 3 or 4 guys that I just don't understand why I've got to watch this whistle after whistle after whistle. Okay, they'll have to adjust. Things are getting aggressive, and guys are really pushing. But these whistles come for these big superstars, and Coach Kevin Young knows that.
Yeah.
Scotty, we're not sitting here breaking down some type of crazy math formula. It's like we know. So I totally love and see your direction. I could see Kevin Young saying, take the 2 best defenders, create a little bit of space. Let's try to get a man on for Rob Wright. Let Rob Wright beat first defender, get to the lane. And if it was, hey, Boscovich rotates, dish, Bosk, if you got time, take 2 steps in and hit the 2 because we need 1. Get us just a little bit closer. Give us your most consistent shot. If Boscovich is able to take 1 or 2 steps in and he makes it a 13-footer, you're looking at maybe 70% chance make if he's got a window to shoot.
Yeah, if it's wide open, I'd put it in the 60, 70 range.
I know we're getting way down into the weeds of this crap.
But I think you and I have said this in our 12 years doing the show. When you get good, we nitpick more.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Because we know how good you can be. We know how good BYU can be. BYU absolutely could win a national championship this year in basketball.
And I was on with Jeff Kaplan yesterday just kind of talking about this game. And I said this to him, and I'll say it to our listeners. I think that this is the highest profile and best threesome on any court, field, diamond in BYU history. And then the other point I made was they're also the highest paid collectively. They're the highest paid 3. And, you could look at Bear Bachmeier, L.J. Martin, and Isaiah Glasker. And you could say, well, no, that's your best 3 on a field and a court. I don't think so. I don't think it is. Because none of them are going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Now, whether AJ's number 1 or number 2, it's going to be the highest pick that BYU's had. And it's going to be Richie Saunders landing at camp, and Rob Wright probably not. But Richie Saunders, I expect Richie Saunders to get some type of NBA opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, now think of the money that those 3 make. I don't think anybody could compare on a football field. No. Now, I know that our history of money making is very small, but in the history of money making, A.J. DeBonsa, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright are the highest paid. So when I'm saying to Rob Wright, look, you got to understand what they will and won't call. You got to understand your height. You got to understand that Arizona is the number 1 team in the country, which tells you that they're going to have some of the number 1 backside defensive help in the country. And when you're X amount of height and you've got whoever, was it Jaden Bradley? Who was it that hit that out of the back of his hands? Was it Bradley?
I think it was yeah.
Oh, it's Burries. Okay.
Burries.
So Braden Burries. You got to understand, Braden Burries is a freak.
Yeah.
So as I go to move, and by the way, those officials know Braden Burries, and they were getting an earful from Arizona's players, from Arizona's coaching staff, because there were calls. Now, I thought that they got the right call, but there were calls, and you knew that they were getting an earful. They're probably less likely to call in that moment.
And that's the thing. I think that there's, especially this staff, and I know, look, I've called so many games where Tony Padilla's been there, and I know BYU fans have been really hard on him over the last couple of years. I've seen Tony Padilla forever. And that dude knows exactly what's going on in the course of a game, and he loves his theatrics. And I think, look, this is my thought here.
Was he the one that called the offensive foul?
I don't think so. No.
And did the whole ram across the court?
No.
Okay.
But the one thing that I do know that he is all about checks and balances. Like, if he gives you one on one end, he's probably not going to give you on the other. And I think Arizona was irate because they thought that tie-up should have been a foul on BYU. But they gave him
the flagrant?
And they gave him the alternating possession, yeah. And so it goes back to BYU. And I think...
So you're talking about the tie-up just previous to the flagrant?
I can't remember but you could tell BYU was swiping at it, and Arizona thought he got raked across the arm several times, and instead they say he got tied up, alternating possession.
Yeah,
The arrow goes.
That's a different. Sorry, that's a different possession.
The arrow goes to BYU,
Yeah.
and you can tell that. Okay, I gave you that one, and not to say that it shouldn't have been that call. It probably would have, but it was a very controversial call. If he's gonna make a controversial call here, he's gonna make it go the other way for the other team. He's all about evening things up. And so at that point, when you got one, as a coaching staff, you got to know your officiating crew. And I've talked to enough coaches that know how to game plan according to the officials. They see these three officials like, okay, we know this, this, this. We know that if we get up 5 fouls to 1 with 10 minutes left in the second half, we're not going to get a foul for a long time. They're going to even it up in a hurry. And so you got to be careful. You got to understand that. If they miss a call here, you're going to get a makeup call on the other end. There's going to be these checks and balances. And some officials, you can write a script on how they do things. And Tony Padilla, if he gives you one or his crew gives you one, chances are you're not going to get another.
Okay, and I know we got to go get ready for what you may miss, but I want to know from your perspective. Let's say the Rob Wright basket falls. BYU wins by 1.
Yeah.
Knowing what tier this is and who Arizona is, how much does this loss hurt you as compared to how much would the win have helped you? You know what I'm asking?
Yeah, the win would have helped you more than the loss hurts. This loss doesn't hurt BYU.
That's
not at all.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The win would have been helpful as the number 13 team in the country. I think it would have secured your spot probably close to the top 10.
Yeah.
But I feel like this loss. Now, if anybody that's watching and says, dang, they're down by 19, they're getting run out.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy set of circumstances to be within 1 point with 12 seconds left. But I've got to imagine that loss it's not pulling the rug out from under you.
Not at all. Not at all. That doesn't change BYU's seed line. It doesn't change anything with the bracket, with the tournament. Especially now, had that game ended a 20-point game, maybe there's a little difference there. Hey, you just got run at home to this team. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to look at that 1-point game. The metrics aren't going to look at the crazy the crazy circumstances. The numbers are going to say, wow, you know what? Our analytics said that was going to be a 5-point loss. You only lost by 1. That's going to help you. No, that loss does not hurt BYU at all. At all. Now, the win would have helped significantly, but the loss isn't going to hurt you.
Well, the good news is BYU's got 2 more opportunities in the next 3 games to get a big win against the top 15 ranked team.
Hans and Scotty, 12:52. What you may have missed coming up next.
You're locked on to Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
That's right. Yeah!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. What are you laughing about in there, Lloyd?
None. Not laughing at anything.
You're making fun
I got nothing.
You got something.
I got nothing.
You got something. What you may have missed right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. If you got an offense that's cruising, why mess around with it? You did fire Sean McDermott in Buffalo, but you fire a coach, usually that means everybody's getting fired, right? Mm-hmm. Nope. It is the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, gets promoted to become the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Signs a 5-year contract. He is now the guy in Buffalo. So I got to imagine Josh Allen may have let his voice be heard on that one. Like, hey, look, I like this OC. Don't screw around with this.
He might have. Seems like the guy's pretty innovative.
Yeah. I go back to that Baltimore press conference with that owner, and they said, how much power will Lamar Jackson have in the hiring of the new coach in Baltimore? And he goes, he will have a say, and I will let his voice be heard. I will not give him any power whatsoever. If he wants to sit on interviews, great. If he wants to ask questions, awesome. And I remember Kevin O'Connor saying the same thing in regards to free agency about Darren Williams. He said, Darren comes to me all the time with free agents that we should get. It's like, go get this guy, go get this guy, go get this guy. And I will listen to him, and I will tell him I will listen. I will take it under consideration. He said, but once you open that door just slightly and acquiesce to a player, they will kick that door wide open. And if you give them one thing, they're going to take a mile. So he was like, I'll listen, and I'm more than happy to talk to him about the whole process and what I'm looking for and everything else, the financial ramifications, but I will not, by any stretch of the imagination, let him have a final say or sway me in one way or another.
Did Kevin O'Connor stay around in our market?
No, he got a house in North Carolina somewhere on a beach, and just rode off into the sunset.
My spirit animal, Kevin.
Yes, you might be a little further south. You don't like those North Carolina winters.
No, but he's my spirit animal.
Yeah,
I really liked him.
I did too. I love KFC. Good dude.
I know that probably most Jazz fans out there driving around listening have a reflection on Kevin that's gruff, short.
Yes, those are all true.
Non-transparent.
Very true.
But when you'd get Kevin alone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he'd tell you anything.
He'd tell you whatever you need.
Yep, absolutely.
He was so good about that. Man, I miss those old years too. You know, with Jerry and Phil and Kevin. You know, the first 3 or 4 years of my existence in this market, those guys were really, really great.
Yeah.
And I actually think that Ryan Smith has kind of reestablished that feel. They just need the right timing.
Oh, yeah.
Scotty, you know more than anybody that it's all about timing.
That's 100%. That's pretty much life in a nutshell is about timing.
Just take a look at the Boston Celtics team that Danny Ainge assembled that just went on and won it. That was perfect timing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about his more recent one.
Yep.
Not him bringing in the big three and going and winning that one, but this more recent one, it was just all perfect timing. And it was a couple of picks mixed with 1 or 2 free agents that took him over the top.
I mean, that's why the Jazz and, Jazz fans will always lament being up 2-0 against the Clippers in the Western Conference semifinals and losing that game 4-2 because the Spurs were down, the Lakers were down. Like, the window was wide open for the Jazz. And they went all in. You know what? You still had Donovan Mitchell on the cheap. You absorbed Mike Conley's contract. And you're like, okay, you went all in, and you just couldn't do it. And that's what's disheartening about the whole thing. And that's why when you hear Justin Zanuck talk about it, you almost hear his heartbreak because you don't get those windows very often. Look at if the Patriots win a Super Bowl, they will have done so by winning playoff games against C.J. Stroud, Jarrett Stidham, whoever's at Seattle. I'm spacing his name, the USC guy. Like you could not have asked for a better layout for the New England Patriots. And if they win a Super Bowl, everybody will be like, people won't ever be like, well, here's the path. The window kind of opened up for them, and the stars kind of aligned for them to be able to do what they did. Next year, Mahomes will probably be back. Josh Allen will probably be back, and you'll have stars back in the playoffs that can create all kinds of problems for you.
Yeah, you're talking about Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, yes, sorry.
But I totally understand your point, and that's one thing that, in my time on air, I will look back to that team. And there were some big decisions that were made. Remember, they moved on from Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
And Ricky Rubio really wanted to be here. He really wanted to be a piece of this. And they moved on from Ricky. And I remember thinking, I don't know. And they brought in Mountain Mike. And Mountain Mike, it took him a year to reestablish himself. But when he got cranking, I thought, maybe, man.
Yeah.
Maybe. You've got the NBA defensive MVP. You've got what looks to be a potential NBA MVP, but certainly an all-star. You've got a long-sourced guard that understands the depth of the league and can absolutely manufacture some certain offense to get guys really cranking. And I thought, maybe. You got Jingle and Joe who kept his sense. And at the time, I think you had Gorgeous Georges, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't Gorgeous Georges was in that locker room telling everybody.
And you had Connolly as the sixth man of the year. Yeah.
Like that was certainly as close as I had felt to the Western Conference Finals since that Darren Williams team.
Yeah. All right. Kurt Heelan joins us next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.